Hello and welcome everybody. We're here with, I'm Jeff Arnott, the Director of Adult Education for Brevard Public Schools, along with Art Hoagie, who is the Vice President of Operations, I believe. General Manager of Knights Armament, which is located in Titusville, Florida, and Lisa Rice, who is the President of Career Source Brevard here in Rockledge, Florida, which covers all of Brevard County here on the Space Coast. I'd like to thank IFDA today for sponsoring this event, and we've done this presentation before for COWAVE at the national level, and we've also done it for one of June's spring events earlier this year in Orlando. So we're here to talk about WIOA, local partnerships. One thing that Lisa, Art, and I have done here in Brevard County, along with a few others, is really create a nice collaborative culture in order to really streamline the needs of Brevard County when it comes to its workforce. And of course, our advanced manufacturing has been a buzzword throughout, I guess you could say everywhere, but it has been a real buzzword here in Brevard County. So we're glad to have you guys on, and we'd once again like to thank June for sponsoring this event at IFDA. Of course, about IFDA, it's floridaifda.org. Of course, where you can get all your information, and this is where this event will be broadcasted, where it will be archived. So that's a question that's come up a few times. Is this being recorded? Yes, it is, and it will be available for future reference. Okay, Better Together, local WIOA partnerships at work, that work. And there, of course, is our wonderful 3 logos. And of course, anytime you guys have questions, please just type them in, and we'll take those questions as they come in going through the webinar, and we will have plenty of time at the end of this webinar to answer additional questions as well. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, the WIOA partners, there's 6 core partners, and I'll let Lisa go ahead and talk a little bit about the core partners a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Under WIOA, we have our 6 core partners, as Jeff was saying. Adults, dislocated, and youth it's kind of like what we consider the primary. They've been with us in the Workforce Innovation Act. They were with us, Workforce Investment Act. So they were with us in WIA, and they're with us in WIOA. And adult education and family literacy was also kind of under WIA, but it wasn't as heavily partnered as it is now under WIOA. So there's a lot more opportunity for us to do things together. There are performance measures that are shared together, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. The employment services, or Wagner-Pizer, is also considered a part of the WIOA. In the state of Florida, we are extremely lucky in that we have had Wagner-Pizer employment services under one roof with all of the WIOA adult dislocated and youth activities. We've had that under one roof for over 10 years now, actually almost 20, now that I think about it. Okay, that just scared me because I'm feeling kind of old now. And then one of the newer partners, while they were a partner to some extent, again, in WIA, Voc Rehab has become a much bigger partner under WIOA as well. And so today we're going to focus, though, mostly on what's happening with the adult ed side of the house and that partnership there. You want me to keep going? Cool. All right.
Doing great.
So one of the things that's happening with WIOA is that there are definitely new ways for us to align in these partnerships. One of the things that they're looking at is how are we serving more people with barriers. So that could be barriers that are transportation or skills deficient or homeless, as you see, or disabled people. So it has a whole bunch of different definitions in there for how do you serve more people who have barriers. There's a priority of service piece that has been strengthened in that in the past, we would say we were going to a priority of service when our funding was low. Now, the workforce boards, the workforce system, has to have a priority of service every single day. So what does that look like? Well, if somebody walks in and they're low income, and we know that they're low income, we are supposed to try to give them as many services as we possibly can right up front, not making them wait. It's kind of like a little bit more of an express lane kind of service, I would call it. But if you have somebody who's low income and somebody who's not low income walking in at the same exact time, you know, you're going to also still be able to provide services to those who are not low income. It's just that you're supposed to fast track a little bit more for the lower income. So funding focus, again, this is a big one for a lot of the workforce boards around the state of Florida. In Brevard County, we've been already focused on this 75% of the funding being spent on out-of-school youth. One of the interesting things is that we did get a change in the state of Florida to say that those students who were in adult ed receiving their GED were considered out-of-school youth. That is a big change that has happened, because before we had to like perch on Jeff's doorstep basically and try to grab those students before they signed up with the program.
And that's different than adult high school, of course. Adult high school is considered in school, but GED is considered out of school youth. It's a fine line, especially when you serve both.
Exactly. Sure. Which, you know, is always something that we can look at advocating, that we should have both, you know, considered as out of school. The other piece that's happening in the funding focus is definitely around what this OJT is, on-the-job training. And in particular, there is a requirement as well for the youth to be focused on work-based training, which can be the on-the-job training, or it can be something called work experience. And so there's a lot of kind of focus around those two areas as well. And those are really playing in well with our partnership with adult ed as well. So the last two I don't think that I know much about, other than the individual education plan. I do know that piece. We have always required an IEP for our students, for any of our youth that are coming into the program. That's just being, once again, pushed and strengthened in there, and so.
Yeah, the Title II L civics allocation, there is a IEL civics allocation. I know there's been a lot of focus there on workforce and citizenship activities when it comes to the ESOL grants as well. For those online, those on the call right now, know from the new grants that are out that there is a lot of focus on those particular skills in addition to just basic skills attainment, like we've been focusing on since the beginning of time in adulthood.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the other thing that we're looking at here, of course, is how do we integrate all of this education and training. And so some of what they're talking about in WIOA is that if you're going to have a youth in particular who, by the way, that goes from the age of 16 to 24 now, so that's an increased range. But if they're going to be doing adult literacy activities, that it has to have some kind of a workforce focus and a prep focus, and just getting them ready to be in the workplace. So that's been one of the cool kind of things where with our adult ed, with Jeff, we've been able to find those certifications that match to the business need and really make sure that the students are coming out not just with that GED, but they're going to start coming out with more and more and more business needed, identified certifications that'll help them go into these jobs.
And also the integrated education and training, you know, there's a lot of the soft skill stuff that is a buzzword around. Lisa's crew is going to help us identify what those soft skills are that employers want. You know, we have Mark back here who tells me daily what he's wanting and so forth like that, and really looking at the way to incorporate that not only in our intake program, but also match our intake program to look like career source as well. Right. So if a student comes to us, they can do Employ Florida, so they don't have to go do it twice. They do it one time.
Right. Well, one of my pet peeves is about soft skills, and they're not really being associated to soft skills.
Yeah.
More about life skills.
Yeah.
Because these are skills that our employees need to go ahead and have to be able to be into the job market. So these skill sets need to be taught. Not soft meaning doesn't mean it's important.
Yeah.
I think that the connotation has to change to where, no, this is important, that every student understands that they need these skills.
They've even renamed it. Soft skills.
We've actually started to rename, and so we're now calling it the workplace essential skills. Because soft skills and life skills, people were like, I got a life, I know what I'm doing.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't ringing with them, but when you start to talk about workplace essential skills, and you talk now about conflict resolution and things like that, communication, how you work with your peers, you know, all of that, it makes a big difference. And so we are actually working on that kind of a curriculum, and that'll be a piece that we're going to be sharing with Jeff. and we do want business input on this. So as we work through all this,
Well, I think it's important because now you've given to where a millennial of today understands, okay, why am I learning this?
yes,
And so when you say
Make it
this is a
applicable.
workplace essential, then they know, okay, this is not just a waste of time.
yeah,
This is why you have to go ahead and have this skill.
it's not about soft. What's soft? You know?
Yeah. It's soft. Yes,
Yeah. And then I want to hit really quick on the career pathways because this is a huge thing that is changing in the WIOA area, and that is career pathways have been done in the past by our education entities. That's just who's dreamed up what the career pathway is. Or anything and everything.
Yeah, and also I know Lisa and I are working on a memorandum of understanding between us, what our contribution looks like and what career sources contribution looks like. And we sat down and literally figured it out within a half hour of everything. And a lot of this stuff is stuff we're doing, but a lot of it's new stuff we're doing. And conversation took it to another level. So we're going to be doing some greater things. So I'll be more than happy
We'll
to
share that.
I'm more happy to share that good news.
Yeah. And we also left it nice and open so that you can expand on it. We said this is a living, breathing document, as it should be, for whatever the environment's going to bring to you. So.
And how about the shared cost thing? I know we might have a couple questions about that because there was always that debate. It's cash, and it still is a debate. We're not 100% sure what it means yet.
So if you can come up with an MOU at your local level between the workforce system and your adult ed, then that cost sharing can be done with in-kind services. If you cannot come up with an agreement on what that looks like, and it has to go to the state for some reason, it will have to be cash that comes from the adult ed system. So obviously everybody should be trying to work towards getting that local MOU done with your local workforce board.
Yeah, it sounds like it behooves us to,
it does.
Take care of that.
It does.
Okay, let's go on to the next slide here. Okay, WIOA alignment challenges. Title II, representative on the local, Sarah, how will one person represent all local providers?
So that's a really good question.
Yeah, and here in Brevard County, it's pretty simple for us because Lisa is the only career source board in town, and we're the only adult education provider in town. And I know there's some challenges out there throughout the state where you have a workforce board that oversees 4 to 5 school districts and 2 colleges that all provide adult ed. And those challenges, I'm interested to hear what those are looking like.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure those are difficult. I admit we have a natural advantage here.
We do.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that what I'm hearing from my peers is they're taking different approaches to this all across the state. So some of them are saying, okay, let's do it as a rotating seat. So, you're on this year or 2 years, and then it rotates to the next adult ed type of provider.
Yeah.
And others are saying that at the local board, they're going to set some criteria so that in order for you to be a part of that, you sit on the board as the adult ed representative. You'd have to meet certain criteria, and they're still in the process of trying to figure out what those would be. But what they're trying to get to is the higher level strategic thinking type of provider focus, is what I would say there. So there's a lot of different things that are happening.
That's a good question. I need to know, how would a local board review process work?
Yeah, and so that, again, is being determined at each local board. Each board is saying, first of all, we're actually asking, well, what do the regulations even really want us to do? Because we're not totally clear on what that means at this point. But what I would say to you is that in Brevard County, what we've decided to do is that we keep sitting down on probably right now we're like every other month. We'll probably get to a point where we're a quarterly basis, and we'll just review together with adult ed and ourselves where we come, what do we need to do, what is our MOU saying, are we doing what we said we would do in there, and really just reviewing from that perspective. So,
yeah, of course, back from the old career pathways grant, we had to have this local meeting in the minds anyway, which we've kind of kept out there, and so forth. We've kind of expanded it into our FICAPS grant that we received as well, and so forth. Okay, identifying shared populations. This is one thing we've already started with with Employ Florida. Yeah. So we know that our students can be tracked fairly easy in that particular thing, and so forth, like that. So.
And so we've actually already started talking about this whole thing about low skilled, high skilled. Honestly, from what we've talked about in Brevard, it's not so much focused on the skill level. It's focused on what kind of certifications are they going to get that are in demand, that are going to be able to help us place them in a job. Because now that adult ed has the same performance measures of needing to get people into the job and keep them in the job, it is important for us to be making sure that we're training at that same kind of level.
I think that goes to the next thing. Your low skill is my high skill. I like that. Because we hear it all the time. Like we've heard it from I've heard it since the cows were mooing 1,000 years ago that we need more CNAs. Yeah. And Lisa's are here, so it's not. They may need it in Jacksonville. I'm not speaking for Jacksonville, by the way, but we don't need them in Brevard County because, for instance, for us, our workforce is saturated with it. And hard over here, you can definitely talk about the difference between manufacturing, maybe at this facility compared to a manufacturing in other parts of the state. Even within our own county here, we have different levels of manufacturing. From Harris, which is very high tech, to just a mom and pop place down the road.
But I think for the most part, in our manufacturing arena, that the voice is still out there. We need a qualified workforce. It's very hard to go in and get that workforce. And even by 2025, by the Chamber of Commerce saying we're going to have a 2 million person deficit in our job needs. Wow. So it says that there is plenty of jobs that are available for the right talent.
Absolutely.
And that kind of goes with the intangibles as well, like Mark was saying with the semantic differences and also cultural differences. I mean, it's very clear that North Florida are completely different in Central Florida with the high tourism stuff. But there's definitely some cultural.
And I think also with some of the semantic and cultural differences, that's the differences between even how we talk about work-based training and how adult ed talked about that. When we first started sitting down and talking all this stuff, we had to figure out, well, what do you mean by that? And so we had to delve into the real language we were using. This is what it looks like. This is what we mean. And so there's a lot of that has to happen. All of this stuff deals with communication.
And I think, really especially here in Brevard County, and I'm hearing that throughout the state, that it seems like that a lot of the language is starting to come together a lot easier than it used to be as well. So that's a big plus. So when Lisa talks to WIOA, I know WIOA. I think I do. But those type of things, it just make life a little bit easier, especially when you're having meetings and also when you're talking to other people outside our arena. They understand that and so forth. So that's a big difference as well. But we got another question here. Does this mean that the requirements to present in for grant purposes might change as well? Well, that's a good question. I know there's going to be some changes with the new grant cycle coming up. And in fact, if you look at the current RFP for the current grants, for the renewal part of it, there was some changes in it, especially when it comes to ESOL. There was a lot of stuff on citizenship, teaching about American culture, a few of those things that we saw in there.
And there
plus,
were a lot of
WIOA stuff.
there was a lot of labor market information
Yes.
in there. And so again, working with your workforce board, basically we received from one of Jeff's staff people, Barbara, who sent to us and said, here's the kinds of questions they're asking us about. And we're like, okay, we have that kind of labor market information. So made it a heck of a lot easier for them to answer those pieces in the grant, which is what I think they were trying to drive.
Yeah, they were, kind of like asking us to work together.
Yeah.
Very kindly.
Yeah, very kindly.
And it worked very well. And also, the sign-off sheets are even going to be different. Where
Yes.
before we just run it over here, at least sign this, and we just run off and submit it to the state. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. At least this group has to approve it and review it, and then Dr. Blackburn, our superintendent, will sign it after that, and so forth. So that's kind of really what that means. Good questions, though. The known unknowns, waiting for final. We talk about this all the time. And there's one thing, a good strategy that Lisa and I have done. Just a thing. Once every 2 months we meet to meet or not.
It doesn't matter.
And we always end up talking about something. We always come out with some good ideas and expanding our programs even more and everything. So yes, we're waiting for those final regulations. I mean, we're still trying to find what cash
June,
is.
we think.
Yeah. And what's the other one? What's the definition of a completer? Is that something who's in our
When do you
program for a
exit
day?
them? What does exit mean? All of these things. The measures, even the measurable skill gain is a piece that we're waiting for those rules to come out. And when the regs come out, I think we'll have a much better idea of all of these things, really.
And one thing, once they do come out, we'll put something together. We'll make sure June that IPDA gets it so she can post up on the IPDA website to share to everybody.
And the employer engagement metric is probably one of the ones that has us the most concerned, might be the word that I want to use, because we're trying to figure out, well, gosh, we do all sorts of employer services and engagement. What are they going to measure us on? And we're hoping that they'll look at Florida's model of what we've been doing with engagement and hopefully use something along those lines. But,
when you read it word for word, we just ask Art over here, and Art said this was not good. Is that good? Is that bad? That is kind of a known unknown.
Well, it has to be defined.
Yeah.
Because unless you have a good defining matrix, what are you really trying to get out of it? And I would look at this as being, okay, the students that are coming out, how well are they working and performing in the job market? Well, what do you want to go ahead and grade? Is it going to be attendance? Is it going to be aptitude? Is it going to be their understanding of the job? Are they able to run the machines that are on the floor? All these things are going to be ways to measure, but not sure what they're going to do.
we're not sure.
Yeah, of course, another one is to, are they employed, was it 6 months from now, 1 year from now?
Yeah.
Those are definitely...
We'll have 6 months from now, 1 year from now. The wages have to be looked at second quarter and fourth quarter, so there's a lot of new stuff.
And we got some chiming in here from Zelda Rogers. She is definitely is letting us know that employer engagement will not apply for adult education. So at least that's pretty hard to work out.
Yay.
So for now, thank you for that clarification, Ms. Rogers, as usual. And Title II, recompete for funds. Yeah, the competition will be next year. Not this upcoming year, not 16-17, but 17-18 will be the competitive year for all our grants and everything. Thanks, Zelda, for holding off 1 year on that one. Okay, let's talk a little bit about each one of our programs and about what we do. Brevard County, like I said, I'm a very proud director of Brevard Public Schools, Direct of Adult and Community Education. This is my 4th year as the director of Brevard County Public Schools, and I've been a director in a small district and now a larger district, and you definitely learn from both ends. When taking over this job, when you come from a small district to a large district, it seems like you've done all these things that a lot of your employees are doing for you, which is a good thing. You kind of understand what everyone's daily task is, but it allows you to work on different things like vision, program expansion, and those things that I really enjoy, including marketing, which, by the way, we are the I forget what it was. We won an award today, the Medallion Award from the school public relations group.
Really?
Yes,
cool.
yes. So we're very proud. We'll be picking up that award on the 15th. So we're able to work on those type of things. We serve about 5,000 students a year in our programs, and that includes co-enrolled students as well. And what do I want to accomplish? Basically, at the end of the day, I want to be able to provide our students with jobs I want our business partners to know that our students are reliable and can do some great things, and I also have our business partners, let us know how we're doing with our students that are going out there and so forth. Because at the end of the day, they are our customers, our students are our customers, and of course, partnerships like Career Source helps us with that as well. And what big changes in adult education since I took over? Basically, just getting it in the limelight. I wanted everybody in Brevard County to know who Brevard adult ed is, and so forth like that. I'm not an under-the-radar type of guy. I want to be on the map, and I want our program to be on the map. And I want everybody who works for us to be proud, and our students to be proud to be Brevard adult ed graduates, not ashamed to be sent over to adult education. And what's the biggest concern when it comes to shared WIOA performance measures? They're kind of all over the place. I guess we'll find out when the plane is built after before it lands. Safe landing, of course. I think the biggest thing was what Zelda just confirmed here. It was the engagement piece. What does that look like? And another big concern for me is what does a completer or exiter look like? I think we all are realistic in adult education that the longer students are with us, the better they're going to perform potentially, in the end result moving forward.
So, I think some people may not understand that whole completer exiter kind of piece, and so just to kind of give a little explanation, in the workforce world, when you serve someone and you put them into Employ Florida, which is our case management system, if they exit, meaning that they stop using services for 90 days, then you are able to exit them with hopefully a positive outcome, meaning they got employed, or in the past it used to be a literacy or numeracy game, which that's going away, or they could be going into the military or something like that. But
continuing school too.
Yes, or continuing school.
Yes.
But if they come back in at any point and they just come back in to look at their resume again, or come back in and decide I need to do another job search or something, it reopens them, and they are not considered an exited case. So that's the difference. We consider them completed because we've done the services with them, but we can't consider them exited until they've gone for a 90-day period without touching us in any way, shape, or form, which is really kind of archaic if you think about it. Because honestly, millennials, even myself, anybody, you might want to go back in and take a look at what did my resume say. You might want to go back in and say, I had a virtual recruiter set up and I no longer want that thing set up. So you go in and you want to change it or turn it off or whatever. All of a sudden that's triggered you to be back in.
Or if you're just trying to get a stackable credential, then put something on so you're already employed.
Yeah, but you just add another stackable credential. Oh my gosh, now you're not exited. So there's a big piece there, and the regulations will be extremely important around that side. So that is a big, big concern.
Well,
and I just thought maybe they should know.
Well, that's my newest biggest concern.
There you go.
Okay, and this is, and Lisa here. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah. So, how did the relationship start? Well, this is the beautiful thing. Jeff actually, within a very short time of starting the job, called and said, we need to meet. And I'm like, yes, we do need to meet. And I was a little worried about that meeting.
A lot of people are worried, but I say that sometimes.
But I was worried because I knew, and I'm not trying to slam anything from the past, but because the past is the past. But we were not very innovative until Jeff got here. And Jeff just totally took, all of the concepts and the ideas of we need to work together and let's be innovative and let's work forward. And he just jumped with it. And it was such a breath of fresh air. And so the relationship totally changed. It changed from one where we occasionally would, tell each other something that was going on, to one where now, with Jeff and I and with staff too, we're meeting together. We have a business. I can't remember what we call her title, but she basically goes out.
Business liaison.
Is that what she is?
Yes.
Well, no, I'm thinking of Val Williams.
Val
Business training something or other. She's the one that's supposed to go out and find these work experiences for the students. So she's working with the business development person out of adult ed to help open doors for businesses and you know, to hear about what the students are and all of that good stuff. So there's all sorts of, just a whole different kind of dynamic here of talking and being able to partner together.
And since we're going into career and technical education as well here in Brevard County for adult ed, it's helping out guys like Art and other, like Health First. That's exciting when we're meeting with next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we're now, Brevard Adult Ed is now education provider. What do they call it? Approved.
You're an eligible training provider.
That's it.
And,
yes.
And so that means what for other areas. If you become an eligible training provider in the workforce network, what it means is that we can pay you to train students to get, let's say, a certification for manufacturing or for healthcare or anything else, IT, whatever's in demand in our area, basically, is what it is.
Yeah, I see that money helping us get our programs up and running.
Yeah.
And everything. Not only just helping getting up and running, but to expand what's needed for our workforce. It's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I think, you know, these are things that are happening, coming up. You know, we had this, you know, we've had this manufacturing thing going. And what has already happened? We were a FICE CAPS recipient for those folks out there. We are one of the 8. And so far we have 3 students. 3 students. I know it sounds small, it's very small, but 3 students that now have got their CPT, which Art can tell a little bit more about that, which is a ground floor certification to get into advanced manufacturing. And all 3 of those students are now employed as well, which is great news, making more than they would have flipping burgers.
Yep.
So and got their GED at the same time, which is great. So.
That's very cool. CPT, Certified Production Technician Training, is through the MSSC, which is a Manufacturer Skill Set Council, which is a nationally recognized certificate. So no matter where they go in the country, it's a recognizable credential. It also articulates into their engineering degree if they decide to go further into college, which we work with at Eastern Florida State, and basically they can take those credit hours, 15 credit hours, and they'll go into their engineering degree. So if they decide to go a bit further, it really helps that student.
Yeah, so it does create a nice pathway, you know, continue on with their education or go to work both.
Yeah, exactly.
And save them a few bucks.
And so as Jeff said, you know, part of what's coming up is us expanding this, being able to do this, because not everybody, you know, who's in adult ed wants to go into manufacturing. Just like everybody who's out there in the workplace doesn't necessarily want to do that. They want to do different things. They have different talents. So we want to help provide that kind of avenue for them to be able to do healthcare or IT or manufacturing or whatever the case may be. So that's what's coming up, and we're doing it one step at a time. Healthcare is our next one. We have some exciting potential for some things to happen within the airport authority here, which would deal with ground operations and distribution and transportation and logistics and all of that, which also ties to our port. So those are great opportunities for us to bring as well. And again, when you look at how the relationship changed, we never had these conversations before, and now we are.
Yeah, there's one person that's in the room now, that's not in the room now, is you know, Eastern Florida State College.
Yes.
They've been great as well. They've worked out an articulation agreement where our adult high school students could get, you know, 3 college credit hours with the SLS 1100 class, you know, the student success class, or these articulation agreements, which some of them are state agreements with the CPT that allows them to go over. You know, we're sharing some facilities, we're sharing some training already. Yeah, Frank over at the college has been a huge help for all of us here, really trying to meet the needs of the community.
And then another thing that we actually have that's coming up, and it's in the progress right now, is one of the things that the workforce system again has as a focus, those barriers, those people with barriers. So a person who has a disability is one of this. And Jeff has been wonderful to say, yes, we'll partner with you yet again on a new little project which is called Human-Centered Design. And what we're doing is we're actually looking at students with disabilities and what does it take for us to get them employed, what are some of those barriers other than the disability, you know, and we're finding some things like, you know, maybe parents don't really want them to work and because they're worried that they'll lose out on some things, benefits and such like that. But Jeff actually has a program that runs that's called Project Success.
It is changing its name.
It is changing its name, okay. Soon to be changed.
Yeah.
And they deal with students who have disabilities, and that is going to be an excellent pathway for us to get in, talk with the students, see what they need, see how we can help. And so there's just more and more and more things like that happen as we talk. So that last question that's up there is, how should adult ed in other areas start up this program? I have said this time and time again, you need to know who your executive director, president is of your workforce system. If you cannot get to them because it's such a big region, try to get to their operations person, the one that is on the board staff that oversees a lot of the programmatic operations they're doing. That is one of the best avenues for you to be able to say, okay, this is a something that's going on over in Brevard. We want to emulate it. We think we have some ideas, and start that conversation. They should be very open to you doing this because you have to be a partnership under WIOA. So they should be open to that. It's all about sitting down and talking.
It sounds like it's already somewhat arranged.
It is.
Just getting in there and doing the legwork.
That's right.
Okay, Art, of course, here from Knight's Arm, a gun manufacturer.
Jeff always does that. Well, I think it's very interesting because our community has not always worked together well. There was always separate silos. Everybody had their own mission, their own purpose. And I think what is very nice over the past few years, there has been a lot of unity, working together. What is the common goal? What is the purpose? And so basically what got me involved, I've basically been trying to push this for about 12 years. And it's very interesting to see when you have a champion like Jeff or not with the adult ed program, that type of champion helps to go ahead and make everything come together. And so how I got involved, he basically drafted me. He was a Florida Gator person and just drugged me into this. And because he saw my passion for education and that I don't want to see any student left behind. I want to see them be able to be successful and to be able to have a skill set that they can go ahead and provide for themselves and their family. So through Jeff, he basically had to teach me so much more about what is adult education. I think the perception out there is, oh, it's just somebody going after their GED. And after being involved, it's a lot more than that. And I did not realize that. So I think I've had to learn a great deal in working with Jeff and with Lisa how all of this does work. And so as an employer, I think perception really was not reality. And so through the effort of wanting to learn more and how to get involved, it's basically shown me that, hey, we have a wonderful working team here, and that even though we might have differences, we're able to go ahead and work them out for the common good of our county and our community here.
Yeah, one thing Art's also done, I know Janice Schultz, our director of CTE for Brevard Public Schools, who's been a great partner in this as well, introduced me to Art. I remember that she was talking about, hey, he's got this, he's been doing this for Space Coast Junior Senior High, and really going after high school kids. I said, well, hold on a second, since we adult ed in there as well. He did was like that, opened up, no problem at all. Let's get the kids in here. And in fact, Art and I went to Tallahassee and spoke to the Senate Higher Education Committee about the importance of adult ed. And like I said, I thought it was great to drag a gun manufacturer to that, not a flower. Yeah, nothing against flower pot manufacturers. Just something that I think that some groups would, especially in that political arena, would think is very attractive. So it definitely worked out well. We had a great day, and we've and so forth. And really has. It's all been about focus and everything else.
And basically, when you say, what do you want to accomplish with the partnership between Career Source, Brevard, and Adult Ed? I think it's a bigger picture than that. I think it's more than just Career Source, Adult Ed. I believe us as a community, Eastern Florida State, FIT, the EDC, politicians, I think right now it's trying to make sure we're all speaking the same language. When we do that, we're able to see a lot more get accomplished. But when everybody's on their separate missions, it just seems like you're just trying to drag a sled by yourself.
I can tell you one example. Yeah, our state delegation, got us $500,000 for O'Galley High School, $500,000 for Bayside High School, to open up an aerospace academy and to open up a manufacturing academy down at Bayside High. But Janice worked with me, Art, and everybody else about how we can make that an adult ed center in the evening
Yes.
to offer programs in the evening in the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the politics side, I got what Tom Good said, our representative, and basically submitted a proposal. Now, also was able to get $550,000 for Eastern to put a brand new manufacturing center there. So I could not have done that unless it was for the political side and making sure that they guided me into the right avenue.
Right.
So this is why it's very important to make sure you know who are your representatives, who is part of the Senate, who's part of the House of Representatives, and this way you can go ahead and put these proposals in place.
And I said definitely use them pragmatically. I mean, Steve Christopherly, who was the speaker, outgoing Speaker of the House, he was great as well. I mean, he understands the economy. These politicians, I think, do understand the economy. They hear the people where they do this stuff. And Mr. Christopherly, our Speaker Christopherly, has been very supportive of our partners, came out and visited our sites and so forth. It's been
the interesting part, some of them are business owners.
Oh, yeah.
So they understand what their needs are. Like when talking to Tom, he has a business. He knows what his needs are. So working with the adult ed program is a very viable stream because he wants to have the talent pool to basically draw from. So adult ed's one aspect of it. Dealing with the high schools is another aspect of it. So both everybody working together is for the common goal. How do we go ahead and fill the pipeline of talent to go ahead and continue to bring industry and business to our area?
That's right. And, you know, you said something else, Art, where, you know, our community maybe didn't pull together as well in the past. I really have seen that change and seeing the way that, seeing how we do support each other. And so one of the pieces of that support that others could take away from this is that when you have an idea and you're going to take it forward to a legislator and ask them to support it, whether it's funding or maybe just a rules change or something like that, if you've had the conversations with your partners, you know, you've talked with your adult ed, you've talked with workforce, you've talked with some of the businesses, you've had them come together and say, yes, we all agree to this, you get a lot better reaction and usually are more successful because you're able to show. It's not just one person or one business or one program or whatever asking for it. It is a collective need. And so that's one of the things I've seen changing here. And, you know, you've done that yourself. You said, hey, here's something that's going on. Do we all know about this? And, you know, we'll take a look and we'll say, well, actually, yes, we all knew about this and we're all on board. Or, no, we didn't know about it, but my gosh, we could be all on board, you know. Yeah. So it's about that. Communication, once again, I sound like broken record. I know.
I think it's the biggest challenge you see facing business that the adult ed career source program can help resolve.
Well, I think the biggest obstacle for us as a business is a qualified workforce. And that has been the message for many years now. And I think with the right focus and attention, like I said, Jeff, you're a champion of our adult ed program here, and I think you have the right vision. And I said, with that right vision and the right team partners, we're going to see this continue to change. And I believe in years to come, we're going to see the right talent to be able to enter into our job market and for us to be successful. If I don't have the talent pool, then I can't keep running our business.
There goes the economy. We don't need that.
And, you know, one of the things to note is that lack of the talent pool is not just in Brevard County. This is national. It's in every single area that you want to look at. The key industries, healthcare, manufacturing, IT, construction, are all suffering from this. It comes from a multitude of things, the graying of the population, the workforce, you know. It comes from that. It comes from just not having enough younger people interested in coming into some of the trades and things like that. So there's issues that we all face. It's how the community that's going to do the best is the one that pulls together and says, how do we together address this? And so, with tangible steps and things like that, which is something that we're all working towards here. We keep talking and we keep pulling ideas and actually implementing things.
And I think the major portion of it, I know us as a partner in this, is to making sure everybody has the exposure. So we bring students into our facility, we bring teachers into our facility. Dr. Blackburn, the superintendent of our school, been to our facility multiple times. And so what we continue to try to do is to educate what is manufacturing. It is not the same as it was many years ago. It is very state-of-the-art, robotics, automation, very clean environment, very sophisticated. And so it requires that certain skill set. And so as long as we make sure everybody sees what manufacturing is about, it's going to be that much a more viable industry for our students to get into.
That's absolutely true. It's all about the education part.
Yeah.
And it's education to students and it's education to parents. Because
Correct.
every parent is saying, my kid's going off to college. And the reality is, no, they really aren't. We'd love that, but the reality is they may go to college, but they're probably not going to finish college, so why don't we get them something that can help support
I always
them?
agree with that because there always should be a fallback.
Always.
And statistics have shown, some of the reading that I've done, 75%, usually first year they drop out.
Yeah.
So what are those
Crazy.
students able to enter into in a job market?
Yeah.
Well, learning these skills go ahead and help them to basically be a help to society and not a drain.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one thing we've done too, even with our adult high school program. We looked at the, I looked at the curriculum and I said, why are we offering this? Why are we offering this? Well,
Yeah.
and basically, I'll say fluff electives instead of really looking at just good workforce electives. For instance, in our adult high school program, to help with the IT need, we have all our students, not all of our students, but those who choose, go into, to take the whole Microsoft Suite program.
Yay.
Yeah, and so they're not just learning Word, they're not just learning PowerPoint, they're learning the whole thing. It's the same industry certification that high schools receive for CAPE funding, even though adult high school programs do not receive it. But we will try to change that.
Yes.
But that's some of the things. Because I know even at Cape Canaveral, the Kennedy Space Center, anybody who works there must have this certification to even get in a door, even for them to talk to. So most of these students, that's probably a little bit better than Florida history, probably, to try to get them a job.
I think so.
Up in that part of the state.
I think so.
Okay. All righty. What's working great? What challenges are you experiencing? And of course, if anybody wants to chime in, please do so on the questions box. But what I think is working great here is what we've been talking about. The collaboration is really working good. And what challenges are you experiencing? I think, for me personally, it sounds like the community wants it now. We're trying to provide it as quick as we can.
I know.
And that's the reason I say 3 graduates the first year. We're on our way.
I know.
And they said, we should have 3 today. I wish I could. Sometimes that's a little bit of the thing, what everyone's definition of speed and
Yes.
it is. And so
what
we
they
need it today.
understand, though, these 3 graduates, what does it really take to have this CBT training?
Yeah.
It's not an easy course. It
No.
requires dedication. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot.
Yes.
Under
And it
20 hour
required
program.
your teacher to be a part of it and helping them in the lab and
Yes,
things
sir.
like that. And you still have others who are still in the process of being able to be certified. So hopefully there will be more success
Yeah,
stories
right.
as we go along there. That's, to me, that's what it takes is just one little step, and then you build the momentum, and before you know it, you'll have 20 coming out with CBTs.
Yeah, it'll happen quicker than you think. And here we've got Madeline here, Lopez Ortiz, asking another question. How can I attract local business partners to join us in this new endeavor? What do you got there?
So and I'm going to direct you back first and foremost to your workforce system, because here's the thing. Every single one of your workforce systems has some kind of business services department. And so they're already out there meeting with businesses. What you want to do is say, I want to be another arm to you. I want to be more help to you on that. And if somebody walked up and asked me that, I'd be like, yes, dear God, please, because there's so many businesses in your area for you to reach out to. One of the things that we've talked about and are doing somewhat is a little bit of a cross-training even that happens, so that Jeff's business development person has an understanding of what a work experience looks like for us, and that it could be paid for by us, which helps the employer. So when that person goes out to talk to businesses, they're now talking about a service that actually CareerSource provides, but they're able to talk about it and be able to sell it, so to speak. So by the same token, the business liaisons that we have that are going out and are talking about the talent pool that we have, they're talking about the adult ed students and that they're going to come out with these certifications. And they're even asking, what do you want to see? What kind of workplace essential skills do you want to see? And so they're making sure that we address those things. So it goes back and forth both ways. And to me, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the small business, the business liaison I talked program, between Walmart, Taco Bell, and a few of those. And basically, the employers really, they might not know that much about adult education, but they know careers. Like, for instance, Walmart, when the economy gets better and better, they're going to start hiring people without GEDs and so forth like that. I'll let them come on my campus and do interviews. That's fine, because you have some potential.
Right.
And everything else through the GED Works program. So what a win-win. And you can cherry pick our students, take the ones that you feel will work the best for your program.
And part of the challenge, I just want to make sure, because I know sometimes for those that this is brand new, it can be very overwhelming.
Yes.
And it really does not need to be overwhelming, because our state is speaking this language, our nation is speaking this language. So that's part of the easy part. But like Lisa said, CareerSource is a viable avenue to go ahead and to help assist with this. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows, don't be scared to go ahead and ask for help.
Yeah.
I think once you ask for help, you're going to see if you get CareerSource involved. I know I've been involved for quite a period of time as Knight's Armoring Company, but because I have a passion for education. And I think what you have is you have a lot of industry that's out there, and what's happened is, in some cases, they've been burnt out because they've not seen results in everything that's being done. And right now, our industry, manufacturing, is seeing results because of a collaborative effort. And so now what we're happening is we're having a lot more manufacturers wanting to be a part. How can I make a difference? What can I do? And so now you're getting that industry to come in. There's 574, manufacturers here in Brevard County. So I want to get all 574 involved. In some other counties, they have many more than that, which through the CAIM Council, through Manufacturers Association of Florida, last year we plotted how many manufacturers are in every part in every county statewide. And they have a whole list of businesses. So there's very easy avenues, especially for CareerSource, to get that data and to be able to share. And there's model programs that are already out. We happen to be one, and I'm very proud to be part, but there's others that you can go ahead and gain that insight from.
Yeah, I know there's some great programs like Miami-Dade College is doing some great stuff with Sherry Joseph down there and some manufacturing. I know Julie Fold up in Gainesville is doing some great stuff at Santa Fe College, and Ann Baker, Ann Watts in Baker County is doing some great stuff with the CNA program and stuff up there. Really, it was a great story. We all did some presentations at the Florida Literacy Conference, and so there is some other models throughout the state. And just email me, and I'll be more happy to give you some of that information. And also, I'd say another thing is to join your local chambers if you can. If your board will let you do it, do it. Just because of the fact, we have 3 major chambers of commerce. There's four major chambers of commerce in Brevard County, and we're members of all 4. It costs $100 and some bucks a year. Definitely put it in your budget. Do it. And I have one of my employees, Anna Ryan, who goes around to all the lunches, all the events. That's all she does. And goes around, does promotions, set up tables and stuff like that, and just really get to know people and stuff like that. That's usually a big, big thing, and that's how we build some partnerships as well.
Yeah.
Seer, how do adult learners with no legal immigration status be affected? Can they be included in the results? Any insight there, Lisa, on
that's
legal? And that is an unknown for us as well.
Excellent question.
That is a good question.
And I would say that is still an unknown.
Probably not till this election's over with.
That would be kind of where I was going to head to. It's a political hot potato. I do know that for us, as far as service provision, we're required to do due diligence to make sure that there is legal status, but that could be changing. We just don't know. So, sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. Of course,
with
the workforce changing, there's
as it gets tighter.
Yeah.
So this is the way life goes. As it gets tighter and tighter, you start to realize that the model that you have isn't working, and you have to change it. And so there's something that changes and something that gives, and then you open up the more avenues for success. I know that we are working with you, for instance, on the ESOL classes, and you have people who are in that really they need the what did we call that? The workplace English.
Yes.
Yeah, that needs to happen because they are very highly qualified folks that are coming from other countries, and they need to be able to work, but they've got to understand how to do the workplace language.
Yeah, well, we have a great partnership with the Brevard Hispanic Center down in Palm Bay with Javier, another partner who's not in the room today. But he allows us to teach classes at his center down there, and it's all the level 7 students, the higher level students who have some very good credentials.
Usually degrees and occupations that are very,
And Javier is kind of like the career source for the Brevard Hispanic community to a certain extent. He has built up relationships with companies all over Brevard County, and really is a nice liaison trying to find folks jobs. We got somebody a nurse, somebody's a teacher in our school system now at Heritage High School. So really that's been a great partnership, just really learning about the American workplace culture type of thing. I know there's some great programs. Miami Dade has some great programs that goes on through their school system and stuff. But yeah, I would say most of those that come to our Eli Center are mostly half-papers.
But you know what? You just brought up a good point, and that is that this workforce shortage and the need to develop this pipeline from all different aspects is not the work of any one entity. It is the work of the entire community. There is a lot of work to have to happen, from talent recruitment to developing the pipeline as we go along in the K through 20 system, to how do we handle those who do or don't have papers, and it's the work of everyone. So there's so many different moving pieces and parts. Pick one, pick one, and try to make a little bit of movement on that one. That'd be the best.
All right, we have about 4 minutes left. Does anybody have any more questions out there? We'll entertain one or two more. With that being said, here's our contact information. You can always email me or follow me on Twitter at JEFFERYARNOTT, and of course Brevard Adult Ed. You can always find some of the great programs we're doing there on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. There's Art's email address, and of course Lisa. And I would recommend you follow their social media page as well. And everything. We got another question here. Do you have a community literacy liaison in Brevard County? Yeah, we work with LAD, that's Literacy Adults for Brevard. There's a smaller group here in Brevard County that works with some of our lowest readers and so forth like that. So yeah, we have a great partnership. In fact, I contract out with them. They come over and they work with some of our lowest readers one-on-one. It feels it's really been a great service. But yeah, we do have a great relationship with our local literacy board and everything else. And all right, well, I guess that's it. Live from Career Source Brevard in beautiful Rockledge, Florida, and we want to wish everyone a great evening and have a good night. And thanks again.
Thanks.